Alrighty, we're live. Hello, dear Starshines. Christina here with Life Body Academy. Welcome to today's lunchtime chats. For those of you who are new, my name is Christina, and I am an acceleration expert. And we are here to talk about those topics and issues that are significant for us starseeds, new paradigm visionaries, way showers, pretty much those of us who are embodying the new paradigm frequencies and and the abilities that come with that. And these are abilities and perceptions that are not necessarily embraced by our larger human family. Therefore, we have very unique perspectives and angles to these daily challenges that are unique to us. So I'm here to give, to the best of my ability, a liberated perspective on these pieces. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I'll give everybody a moment to hop on board. I think I was a couple minutes late, so I'll give everybody a second. For those that want to join the conversations, as in wants to participate in cultivating the kinds of things that we talk about in these chats, there are two main ways to get involved. One is on Telegram. We have a group called Multi-Dimensional Human on Telegram, and there are topics that people in that community conversate about. That's the source of where I bring information from to talk about. And the other place is on Facebook and our Rise of the Multi-Dimensional Human Facebook group. Both of these communities have people like us in them. Very high bar as far as respect. There's not a lot of drama because we are new paradigm visionaries. We don't have the same kind of stuff going on that the average human. So there's not big drama in these groups. Everybody's very respectful, and we're not all exactly the same. Some of us embrace the the traditional Vedic chakra model. Others of us do not. So there are some deep fundamental differences that we all may have, yet we respect each other in being in connection and community because we understand the value of being in connection with one who has an expanded awareness, but also being able to focus on how we are connective and supportive of each other versus highlighting and squabbling over differences. So these are very, I would say, safe groups to be a part of. I know people, starseeds, empaths, maybe are a little shy around getting involved in communities. So I just wanted to say that piece for you because it is a very, very respectful place from my experience so far. We only had a couple drama moments over the many years that group has been going on, and it gets nipped very quickly in the bud. So there you go. If you want to participate in the conversation, those are the two places where you can help cultivate what we're talking about. Some people give me direct questions to respond to, and I do when I catch them. Sometimes I catch them, sometimes I don't. My full-time thing is not a YouTuber. My full-time thing is not a influencer. This is a side note to my full-time gig, which is running an academy. I'm running an academy to help starseeds, indigos, way showers unravel intuitive blind spots so they can fully step into their sovereignty and their autonomy as multi-dimensional beings. Okay, so that is my full-time gig. That's where my passion is at. The side note is because I want to help y'all that maybe don't have the resources. Wow, I think there's jets doing exercises above my rig. Okay, I have been here since June. I've been here since the end of June. There have been 0 helicopters, 0 air activity. I mean, I'm deep in the mountains here. And all of a sudden we have this jet doing acrobats above. Anyways, timing of it all. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, darling Beverly, good to see you. Carol, hello. Soul Schooling, hey, you made it. And Tony, good to see you, darling. Thank you for being here too. And Anne, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi, I'm from Europe and from France. Oh, okay, welcome. So as I get going on these pieces, definitely jump in and share your experiences if you have one, because other people really would benefit from hearing that. And then again, if questions come up, put the questions in, and I'll just off the cuff answer if I have one. You know, you guys can be very sophisticated, and sometimes I don't have an answer. You know, at least you know I'm honest about that. I speak about the things that I feel like I can speak about, and when I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. Uh, so there we go. So what we want to talk about today, this is an offshoot of some past chats that I've done. I've visited this topic many times over the years, but it kind of just got accelerated the past few days with a particular posting that somebody put up. And actually, I want to play. Will I be able to play the posting for you? No, I won't be able to play it for you. But if you want to see the posting, if you're in Facebook, it's the Rise of the Multidimensional Human group. I posted it in there, and I talked about this confirms why I think the narrative about the bifurcation timeline is lies and manipulation. Okay, and if you're in Telegram, there is a chat group that's in that group called Multidimensional Chats, and in there, this was posted by dear brother Young Trick. His handle is Young Trick named Jim. He's the one who posted this video initially. It was a TikTok, and it was of a woman, a real young one. I would say, I want to say girl, but I think that's not quite accurate. She's just a very young looking woman. Was talking about, you know, everybody says this bifurcation is going to happen, the split in the timeline is going to happen, but no one actually says why. And for me, her explaining the why explains to me also why I have this deep feeling that that narrative is baloney. That narrative is absolute baloney. I feel like it's a hijacking of the true intent of this planet, of Pachamama and Mother Earth. So let me just back up for a little bit. The bifurcation timeline. What am I talking about? I'm talking about the story that Earth is going to split. Okay, there are people who are in the league of different, different Anunnaki advisors, stuff like this, say that it's not just a planet that's going to split, it's the entire solar system. I've even seen one talk about it's the entire universe that's going to split. All right, so I'm talking about the Earth timeline splitting. This is the part that does not sit right for me. And I don't know about you guys. You let me know if it sits right for you. Hey, Young Trick named Jim. I was just mentioning you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, dear Lavana. Good to have you here. So, for me, this has been going on for years and years and years. As a matter of fact, ever since I went to that Drunvalo workshop way back in 2012. It was in Sedona. He was just re-emerging from a time of being in seclusion and not teaching. He took a break from teaching the Flower of Life mechanics that he originally was teaching. I don't know if you guys remember, 20, 30 years ago, he came out with a series called the Flower of Life series. And as we know, it was the Daisy of Death. As we know now, it's the Daisy of Death. And it was his own words, it was an artificial Merkaba that he was teaching people how to create. Those are his words, artificial Merkaba. Okay, so he taught that for many, many years, channeled that information. I mean, that's pretty much what gave him his name. Okay, Drunvalo Melchizedek I'm talking about. Really, really, I mean, in the presence of him as an individual, very sweet man. I get very loving and kind vibes from him. I never really resonated with the teachings, but I never thought the guy was like, you know, an ET trying to corrupt human minds or anything like that. I never really went there with my thoughts with that. Obviously, because I ended up landing in one of those workshops completely spontaneous. It was unplanned. And when I got there, the workshop was full. There was no room, all this stuff. But of course, I was supposed to be there and the universe unfolded, and wouldn't you know it, they opened up space so I can come. So, that was the first big moment where that bifurcation narrative was introduced to me, and that is this. And the idea is that some people are going to choose the light and their truth and the real God, and others are going to choose something else. Let it be the Baphomet, let it be service to self, let it be whatever that something else is. There's lots of different names you can call that something else. And because of that, that means that the Earth is going to split in its timeline. Now, that never landed right for me. That never, ever landed right for me. And let me touch on the first experience I remember that tells me something different. Okay. Several years ago, I was in a training. I was in a shamanic training, a really, really high level one. And a dear friend of mine was in it with me, and we would do, part of our homework was to do fire ceremonies. So we did fire ceremonies every new and full moon. And what a fire ceremony is, it has several components to it. It's a vehicle, but it's also a way to work with elementals and build allies and stuff like this. And we do something in that ceremony called making the fire friendly. And what this means is that when you tune in with the fire and you and the fire become matched in frequency, you can touch the flames and it will not burn. You can put things in the flames and it will not burn unless it's specifically intended to. Okay, so I've had real life experiences of doing an offering for Pachamama, and putting it into the fire, but then staying there to watch it. And this whole thing is tissue paper and tobacco, and it's not burning. And I mean, my friend and I, we sat there for hours, continuing to feed this fire wood, and this tissue paper bundle was not burning. And then later on, it gets to be 3 a.m. My friend has to wake up at 5:30 to go to work, and it's like getting to the place where, okay, we have to let it go. So we walked away from the fire. In the time that it took us to walk away from the fire, go into my house and look out the kitchen window, the whole thing is dust, and the fire is barely barely those hot smoldering sticks, right? And we're like, whoa, what was that? And I talked to a friend of mine who was also in the training, but he was way more advanced. He was also an Orumba practitioner. I don't know if you know about that. It's kind of like an offshoot of voodoo. He was Puerto Rican, so it was like there's a cultural connection that transferred over to Costa Rica, or not Costa Rica, Puerto Rico, and that is where he particularly was initiated. His family is in that lineage. Anyway, so I tell him about this experience, and he laughs and laughs and laughs and laughs, and he says, and he says, of course it didn't burn. And I'm like, what do you mean, of course it didn't burn? He's like, don't you know it is rude to watch Pachamama eat? She does not like it. So that explained to me why, as soon as we turned our backs and walked away, the whole fire, not only burned up the prayer offerings and the bundle, but also closed the fire ceremony. Boom, it was done. We were holding it up. Energetically, we were holding the energy up. Granted, we were novices at the time. That was a huge learning experience. I mean, that was something that I had to do. That's why our homework was to do these fire ceremonies, so you can learn about the truth about energy in relation to the elementals. Fire only burns because we agree that it burns. If you have a group of people together in a fire ceremony context and everybody agrees that fire is friendly, then that does not mean what you put in there is going to burn. You can put your hands in there and it will not burn. It'll be hot, but it will not burn. Okay, so one night on a new moon, it was in the middle of winter, I am in a fire ceremony and I'm praying. I'm like praying my heart out to the Pachamama. I promise I'm getting to the point here. I'm praying my heart out to the Pachamama. And in my prayer, what I said was something like, may only the ones that are willing to be good caretakers of earth prevail here. Okay. And boy, Pachamama showed up, stopped me in my tracks. I mean, I couldn't move. And she said, no, how dare you? Okay. And I'm like, what? I only want what's best for you, la 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 la, right? I kind of went into that. And she's like, no, every single being on this planet has the right to choose, has the right to have the opportunity to really see what's going on and then make a choice. So as this is downloading into my awareness, I'm realizing, what's being said is holographic. There's many layers of meaning what's being said. But then she continued, and she goes, and this moment here right now, I task you with the responsibility to make sure that as many people as possible get an opportunity to wake up and make their decision. So, not only was that a beautiful heart-opening moment and a huge connection with the Pachamama, I got my ass checked. That was my ego driver, passing judgment on the people who are sleeping. Okay, passing judgment. They don't deserve this earth if they can't be good caretakers, right? Who am I to judge that? Especially knowing what I know now, right? I understand that the layers of blindness, the layers of manipulation upon layer upon layer upon layer, no one actually is making a true free will choice at that time, right? This was 20 years ago. No one's really making a free will choice because no one actually knows really what's going on. They're in these boxes of illusion, okay? Trauma dramas, inherited blind spots, God poison, all that stuff. It's blinding them so they can't actually see what's going on. And this is why, I talk about, we need to do our best to keep reaching out to people, wake up where we can, do the best of our own journey, and then where we can be authentic and truthful with others, maybe can help them wake up. Even if they wake up on their deathbed, they still wake up. They still wake up. And believe me, I've watched many people on their deathbeds have that moment, okay? So it's that seed experience and then the following experiences over the decades, has it really registered and resonated as truth for me that bifurcation timeline is not the will of Pachamama. That is not what the earth, the one whose dream that we're unfolding ourselves within, that is not what she's choosing. That's not what she's choosing. Okay? Now getting into this other piece. So all of the popular people out there are talking about the bifurcation timelines. That's because of those layers of manipulations, right? Somewhere along the lines, it looks very real that that's what's going to happen. And the fact is that happens because people want it to happen. People want to be rid of those who desecrate the earth. People want to get rid of those who are in the power over dynamics. People want to get rid of those dark forces, of those pedophiles, of those demonic this and that, warmongers, blah, 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 blah. People want to get rid of it. But really what we need to do, really, what the real work is, guys, is bringing peace and harmony within ourselves, within the peace and harmony between our inner child and our own inner abuser, our inner child and our own tyrant, our inner child and our own warmonger self, okay? This is what we need to do. And as we do this, all this other stuff out here cleans up. You have to be ready in your evolution to recognize that the change out here happens only with the shift in here. You change this, you'll quite literally manifest stuff out of thin air. Thin air. If you change this completely inside. Another example of manifesting something out of thin air. I've done this. I used to do, well, I still do transmissions, but I do very, very differently now. Back then, when I was still deep in the training, I was still considered a novice. I would do Moonai transmissions, and this is a tradition that comes out of the Quechua from Peru and Bolivia. So this is the path of fire and lightning. This is transmissions that give light codes to people's light bodies so they can grow them like seeds, like grow their light body like a garden within themselves. And what I would do is that I would cultivate these medicine stones for each person that was going to participate in the transmissions ceremony. There's 9 transmissions altogether. And one day I was preparing. There was this park with this creek that ran through it. Every week I was there meditating with a group of people. I had a really close connection with the elemental realm in that particular area, and I was doing my prayer work, my energy work with the elemental realm to bless the ceremony, to bless everybody coming. You know what I mean? I was setting the stage for the whole thing to transpire, all within the container of the love of the Pachamama. And I miscounted. You know, I thought there were going to be 6 people there, but there was actually going to be like 8 people there. I miscounted, you know, but the energy that I was cultivating was so solid and so strong that I quite literally manifested out of thin air 2 additional stones for those people that I didn't know were coming. They were just in my bag. They were just in my medicine bag. People came, and I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to have enough kuyas, you know. But then I'm pulling them out, and I'm just pulling them out of the bag, and I had enough kuyas. They just poof came to be so. And that was because it was so in integrity with the truth inside of here. Okay, that's truly manifestation right there. Okay, it doesn't come from ego driver of, oh, I'm going to create 2 stones. No. It is, I am pulling forward these energies with my heart space to say yes to these people's call, to be the vessel for spirit, for the great spirit within us all to do the work. I'm emptying myself out as a vessel. Spirit does that. My spirit, their spirit, our spirit together does that. And this is exactly how we save our planet. We do it together. Our spirits do that. You see what I mean? Okay. So getting to the bifurcation timeline thing. So also in the past conversations, we've had talk about the golden mean Fibonacci sequence and the Metatron's cube in relationship to the Metatron's cube in relationship to the drum below flower of life configuration. Now, many people who are waking up out of these different control systems can feel in their body that there's something off about that. So a lot of people in this group already kind of were on that same page. So the golden mean spiral is also a ratio that is the light geometry behind matter. Okay, so for example, the platonic solids, those are the light geometry behind each of the foundation building blocks of life on Earth. So like the 3-dimensional triangle is water. You have a now I can't remember all the different hedrons, but all these different geometries are representative of the different elements: fire, earth, air, water, ether, stuff like this. So also in that drum below talk, he talked about 6 different, being shown by different ET intelligences that there are 6 different mean spirals that they knew about. 6. And depending on which mean spiral, your matter, that is the light geometry that all of your matter is based upon, indicates what reality you are unfolding yourself within. Okay? So the Fibonacci sequence is a blueprint, let's say, a light geometry blueprint that is an organizing force to all the physical matter that is so. Now, this is true until it's not, right? Because we are waking up from the inside out. We're not waking up from the outside in. We're waking up from the inside out. Because we are waking up from the inside out, there is another mean spiral geometry that has come forward spontaneously to the consciousness of humanity. And that is through the Keylontic teachings. The Keylontic teachings is something that was brought forward several decades ago by a small group of people. And I'm going to give you some names here so you can look it up, because there's some really great interviews that Project Camelot, of all people, has done. One of them is, now I can't remember her name. Okay. The lady from Project Camelot did an interview with a woman named Ashiana Dean. At the time, she was the main downloader and translator of the Keylontic teachings to my knowledge. Okay. And in those teachings, very, very complex and elaborate teachings, and definitely be ready for that download, guys, because it might just make you a little sick if you're not ready for it. I know when I saw it all those years ago, I was deeply triggered. But then I realized there's a reason why I was deeply triggered, you know, and I was sorting it out. And what it brought me to is that I had a lot of allegiances in place to those beings that held the frequency of the Fibonacci spiral and held the frequency of different light codes and stuff like this, you know. The very lineage that I came from, their Stargate was hijacked, right? Their Stargate was hijacked. So the teachings, as pure and humble as they once were, as they got released into the Western mind, or released into the masses more and more, became more and more corrupt. It was very, very pure in the beginning. In the first 3 years, I want to say 3-4 years, very pure. But then as the Western mind and the larger masses got a hold of the teachings, it would start getting more and more distorted, more and more distorted, more and more distorted, until and eventually leaving the tradition, because I realized there's sorcery going on. Anyway, that's the side. I'll tell you the sides note of the sorcery another time. Getting back to the spirals. So the video, like I said, you can find it in the multidimensional human chat in Telegram, or Roz on the multidimensional human on Facebook. It's a TikTok video where she compares the Fibonacci spiral sequence to the she calls it the Christic spiral sequence, and where those two spirals meet is in a place of, like, I think it's 144 degrees, something like that. 144 degrees. Does that number ring a bell to you? And so those two spirals are side by side for a little bit, but then they start to split. They start to create a bifurcation. And the ones on the Fibonacci sequence are going to a different universe. They're not going to the next harmonic up of the universe that's unfolding here, the new universe that's unfolding here. We're going into a new harmonic, but those who are staying within that frequency of that Fibonacci spiral are going into, they're not aligned with the doorway into that next harmonic universe. And this is what's blowing everybody's mind. They're like, whoa, this makes total sense. But then I added my piece about the lies manipulation of the bifurcation, and it's like, well, wait a minute. If it's true, how is it lies and manipulation? And here, this is how it's lies and manipulation. It's because our reality has been infiltrated from one of the highest levels that we had access to for a very long, long time. Okay? So, I'm going to draw this out. Normally I have a whiteboard and I'm drawing all kinds of things on my whiteboard, but I'm in a rig, I'm not near home, and I really couldn't grab the whiteboard. But I'm going to draw these nesting dolls so you can see them. So this is going to be a little bit of an activation for you guys. So everybody take a deep breath, feel your heartbeat, feel your body, okay, as I go through these nesting dolls. I'm going to start with the outer plane nesting doll and work my way into the inner planes, okay? And then I'm gonna go ahead and acknowledge the different things in the chats. Okay, so in the control system version of a human body, there are 9-dimensional lenses that are hardwired into our biosuit. And we're not aware of them because our belief systems that have been taught to humanity shut us down to the idea that we are actually an infinite creator being. All right, and think about this for a second. You are an infinite creator being. Your core self is infinite. Now, what's the definition of infinite? Has no beginning and no end. Yeah, can we agree on that definition? Okay. So now, if you are an infinite being, if that's a truth that you feel a resonant yes with, how does it make sense that some God created you? How does that make sense if you have no beginning and no end? Okay, now you can see how deep the inception goes. Okay, I'm not saying now go on with life. You're going to figure it out because your soul's saying yes, because you're on this planet. The pachamama saying yes. She's giving you everything you need to wake up to yourself. Even if it's on your deathbed, she's giving you everything you need to wake up to yourself. So I believe that, I trust that, and maybe that's something that resonates for you too. Okay. So we're infinite, but I'm going to start with the outer nesting doll of our galaxy. Okay. So our outer nesting doll, outer nesting doll. This is the Milky Way galaxy, the galactic mind. The other people might call this the Bodhisattva self, Kuan Yin. Okay, the Milky Way. The Milky Way has a black hole in the center of it, which means there is a identical Milky Way that has a white hole in the center of it. Now, some of us are integrating a version of the Milky Way that is not split like that. Okay, so I want to acknowledge that so you guys don't, get tweaked from what I'm activating here. Okay, so all of this is so. All of this can be so. It's not an either or, it's a yes and. Okay, and this is the trick to being able to see into the unknown with comfort, is allow everything to be a yes and. Okay, so this outer nesting doll, and this is according to many different teachings. This particular teaching I picked up from Barbara Hand Clow, who is a Cherokee record keeper that does the Alchemy of the 9 Dimensions. Check out her website. She's amazing. I worked with her. Exactly, Jackie, exactly. You get me. Okay. So, like I said, if you want to check out her work, you have her name. You can Google it. There's lots of information, lots of YouTube videos, lots of interviews. And I went to Lilydale, New York every year for a little less, almost 10 years, to do these activations in person with her. I was so drawn to it. Okay, so this outer plane, this Milky Way plane, I'm going to include the black hole galaxy and the white hole version of the galaxy all in this plane, all in this galactic nesting doll that we call the Milky Way, aka the Great Kuan Yin. Okay? Now, she is the container, that consciousness which we are a part of. We have a galactic mind as well. That consciousness is an organizing force for everything inside. And this is also explained in the Mayan pyramids as well, with the galactic days and nights. There are creation waves that emanate out of the center of the Milky Way galaxy that are organizing forces to all the consciousness within her. Okay. The very first wave had to do with the creation of cells. The next creation wave was complex life. The next creation wave was civilizations. The next creation wave was governments and politics. The next creation wave, you see what I mean? It was building, and each creation wave started off billions of years long, and then as each one unfolds, it got shorter. The very last creation wave is the technological creation wave that started in 1999. Okay, so all of these creation waves are informing, are organizing forces to our consciousness right here, right now. That's just this outer nesting doll. Okay, the next nesting doll in. All right, we have a lens for this galactic mind within our biosuit. Then we have another lens within our biosuit that creates another nesting doll. And this is the 8th dimension, kept by, in the old paradigm, kept by the Galactic Federation. In the new paradigm, kept by the Intergalactic Federation. Just feel what your body does when I say these names. Okay, just feel what your body does. Okay, and this nesting doll is how we experience the perception of God, the all that is, the I am that I am. Yeah, you guys get these keywords that I'm saying. That is the 8th dimension. That is the lens that we connect to outer and inner space with our crown. This I right here is our plug-in to the I am, the great I am. Okay, this is why there's so many religions on this planet that talk about the I am that I am. The God, the goddess, the creator, all that. Okay, that's this lens right here. Every human has the ability to touch it. Whether our belief systems allow us to touch it, that's a whole nother story, right? The next nesting doll in. Okay, so we all come to this galaxy. We completely blend with the all that is. So we are fully informed with the program, with the creation waves of this Milky Way galaxy. We've all done this. Every single one of us have done this. We were a part of the I am. Pretty much everybody, every multidimensional that ever wakes up that I've come across has some kind of memory of being part of the Galactic Federation in some way. Okay, that's not an accident, guys. That's not an accident. Okay, so there was a time when your consciousness decided to separate out of this nesting doll and start having the real adventure. And that is your core frequency. When you emerged out of this oneness, this isness, the all that is, you emerged as a frequency, as a soul song, as a tone. And that's the next nesting doll. The next nesting doll, the seventh dimension, and that is kept by the Andromedans, the Andromedan people. Now, there's lots and lots of Andromedans. It's an entire galaxy with millions upon millions of species. But there is a collective, there is a council, let's say, just like the Galactic Federation, Intergalactic Federation, that keep and caretake this particular nesting doll. And this nesting doll is pure frequency. So when we're talking about first there was the word, right? That's what this is talking about. Before you became so, you were a song. People talk about religions and other kinds of spiritual texts, talk about your soul song. Yes? That's this nesting doll. This is a live, breathing reality inside of you. Just like these other ones. The Milky Way galaxy is inside of you. Light hole, dark hole, completely holistic, unified, all of that lives inside of you. Okay? All that is lives inside of you. Your soul song lives inside of you. It's a living, breathing, dynamic, moving energy that creates, that you create from, you source from. Okay? The next nesting doll, as we know, sound creates shape. And this is your light body. The next nesting doll is the sixth dimension, your light body, the sacred geometry behind all things with structure. Okay, so all those ancient sites that you see built that have been around for tens of thousands of years, they maintain their integrity because they are in perfect harmonic alignment with their light form, with the light shape. Okay, that's why they last forever, because they are in integrity with this outer nesting doll. And not only that, their integrity with this nesting doll, but then they're also pulling in these other forces through them too. So all those nesting dolls together are holding those complexes in form. If you want to know what I really want, if you want to feel for yourself what I'm talking about, go to the ball court at the ball court. It's the Mayan pyramid, the Mayan complex that is just outside Mexico City. Oh my gosh. All right, the name just totally flew out of my head. but I'm sure someone here knows. Please put the name of that temple complex in here. The ball court. Thank you, Chichen Itza. Thank you, Polly. Chichen Itza. Go to that ball court. All of these nesting dolls are palpable. Okay? It's amazing. Anyway, the next nesting doll in. So this light form at this point is what indicates what your lifetimes are going to be from that point forward. Every single lifetime experience you have, no matter if you're a human or not human, if you're on this planet or in the Pleiades or in whatever star system, the Dracos, Orions, the Rigels, the Sirians, whatever, it doesn't matter. All that is in your light body. And that light body, once it goes into the next nesting doll level, this turns into your soul's journey. This turns into your Akashic journey. This turns into all of those lifetimes happening all at once. Okay? So the light body creates the timelines that you explore. Okay, I'm hurrying along. I'm trying to hurry along so I can get to the other part of this explanation. Okay, so we have our soul's journey. This is where time starts to exist, and time is a cyclical thing. Time goes in a cyclical spiral nature, and it's and it doesn't become linear until the next nesting doll in. And once you have the next nesting doll in, that's the 4D field, that's linear time, but it's also your belief systems, your ego structures. I'm talking about your earthly ego structures. There's ego structures out here in the galactic as well and beyond, but that's another topic for another time. This 4D field is all the belief systems you've inherited. It's all the belief systems that have been in place that are anchored into the telluric realm. It's the consciousness grids that have been anchored in. It's the false matrix grids that have been anchored in. It's all of that chaos and confusion. That's this 4D field. It wasn't originally meant to be chaotic and confusing. It was actually meant to be a unifying dimension. But because the hijacking has happened, it's extremely divisive, as we can see in our media today, right? The next nesting doll in is 3D. Of course, we know that. Throw a ball, it falls down. You hit on wood, it knocks. You have a sense of separation, like I'm sitting here in the mountains of Tennessee, and you're sitting there in the place that you occupy. There's a sense of space between us. But if we were to close our eyes, tune into our baseline frequencies, we can tune into each other's energy as if there was no space at all. Okay, so quite literally 3D is the only place where there's space. Everything else is so deeply interconnected, there's no difference. Okay, we are in an ocean of consciousness in every other dimension except for the 3D extraordinary experience. Then the next nesting doll in there is the telluric realm. That's the language of molecules and cells. Atoms and molecules, which make up cells, which, so ionic exchanges is a language, cellular regeneration, degeneration, all this is a language. Elementals, fire, earth, water, air, ether, fairy realms, the fae, right? The fae realms, all the different beings, devas, those are all in that telluric realm. Of course, you have the underworlds as well, which is our own subconscious. And then we have the very, very core, which is the core consciousness of the Pachamama. The core consciousness of the Pachamama. And the core consciousness of Pachamama is also synonymous with the great mother creator of all. And the great mother creator of all is beyond the Milky Way. It's beyond the cosmic arena. Okay? She's the big one. Let's call it like that. Which we are a part of as well. It's just that we don't have until you start waking up to your multidimensional nature, you don't have lenses yet to perceive and connect into that level of yourself. More and more is available on this planet as each day goes by. So a person could be shut down now, go through a series of experiences and be wide awake in a week or so. I don't envy them because I imagine that being a really jarring experience. But there are people who are waking up that quickly because that is available. And there are souls that are choosing that. And there are souls being born completely awake as well, which is phenomenal. I think that is amazing. Okay. So getting to these nesting dolls. The light body nesting doll. The light body nesting doll that I was talking about. So you have your soul song that becomes an organizing force that creates a light shape, a light form. Just look at the study of cymatics. Okay, so that soul song creates a light form, and that light form is a blueprint of who you are and how you're going to unfold yourself in this Milky Way galaxy. Okay, so when we start talking about Fibonacci sequences and in the Christic golden mean sequence, they're talking about light geometry that is an organizing force within your body. It impacts your light body, which impacts the blueprint of how you unfold yourself within this Milky Way galaxy. See what I'm saying? So the narratives are layered with half-truths and falsehoods and half-truths, so it can frame up things in such a way where we start to choose the false matrix without even realizing it. Okay, we start to choose that because we think we're choosing the light. We think we're choosing light wins, God wins, right? But that whole thing in itself is the game. Light, dark, it doesn't matter. If you choose one or the other, you're hooked. You're in. Unless You are following the process of unification inside, because when you do that, that means light has its place, dark has its place. You cannot have one without the other. As soon as you start playing the game, the light has to win, you're in the matrix. And you're going to make a decision. And I'm going to say this, so hopefully now it's going to be in your subconscious and you're not going to make that decision, but whatever, it's your free will, it's your choice. Because once you see it for what it is, then you can truly have a choice. If you choose, light wins. You're choosing to stay in the polarity game. You're choosing to stay in the reality of the great holy war. You're choosing that. But instead, if you're choosing compassion, forgiveness, unity, you're bringing these opposing forces together and doing your own unique creative work inside to find bridges, to find harmony in these energies, and you bring them together, you are now stepping into the Christic spiral, and you're no longer playing the holy war game anymore. Okay? Now, this is my take on it. You guys have your take on it, and I would love to hear what your take is on it. Like I said, everybody has their own version of this, and it's helpful for other people to hear what other people are doing. I'll just say it, I'm just not normal. I never have been, really. But, I have a very unique perspective to these pieces. And that's what's right for me. It may not be right for someone else. Maybe someone is, new to this galaxy, and the whole reason why they came here is because they want to get involved in the holy wars. And that's, that's completely your business. That's your soul's choice. Who am I to question what your soul wants to do with its life force? Who am I to say anything about what your soul is choosing to experience? No. I'm here to rock my truth and do the harmony, the work that I do to harmonize within myself and share that with other folks. And it just so happens, I'm connecting with other folks that are on the same page or are feeling a resonance with this page. I understand that it's really, really difficult to step past a lot of these pieces that have been the cornerstone of our spiritual practice for so long. I have been there. Look at this tradition that I belong to. I still belong to it. I don't participate in the group teachings and stuff that they do anymore because I feel like it's been taken over, but I still belong to that lineage. I still love the Don and Doñas that taught me and shared with me their medicine. I wouldn't be here in this state if they didn't do that. So I'm very grateful because I feel like they saved my life in a lot of ways, So you guys decide where you're at. So let me jump in here with a couple comments. All right, young trick named Jim. I'm sorry you can't stay as well, darling. Next time, I guess. Okay, yeah. All right, we'll have to catch you next week, of course. Sounds good. I am Baka, soul witness for newborns. Ah, that's beautiful. Okay, so like these, so maybe, darling Felicia, you can maybe share a little tidbit of the kinds of newborns that you're seeing come to this world. I imagine they may not be as they used to be. I'm noticing that there's some very special kids out there. I mean, even just around here, these it's so funny. I'll see a baby, and this baby catches my eye, and we see each other, and this baby just can't stop staring. It's so sweet because I can feel, they have a big smile inside while they gaze at me, and I'm smiling back, and it's just this beautiful recognition, silent recognition between one star being and another star being. It's really cool, and there's more and more of that happening. All right, Dear Soul Schooling says, oh yeah, about the story. Yes, awesome, thank you. And Anne, welcome Anne, she says, could you write please the name of the persons Christina's talking about? Okay, so I mentioned a few names. Beverly, if you're there, Beverly, can you type out Drunvalo Melchizedek? That was one name. And the other one was Project Camelot's interview with Aishiana Dean. And then there was another one. All right, I can't remember the other one, but if someone else does, maybe they can put it in for us. Together, we get it all. We will get through it. I promise. All right. So we're on it, Anna. So we'll see. All right. Soul Schooling says, has something. All right. How was something created that was already created? Yes, that's exactly right, Jackie. That's where I'm at too, because this has been the greatest mind screw for people, because this is what facilitates unyielding devotion. Is because beings believe that they are worshiping and venerating beings that are their creator. Okay. Now, there's the soul, and then there's the body. Now, our bodies have been engineered. Our bodies are engineered. This is like the 5th or 6th seeding of humanity on this planet that I know of. And each seeding had different DNA donors. And our current DNA donors is, from what I've experienced, is there's about 12 different DNA donors to the current human on this planet. And those are the Syrians, the Palladians, the Arcturians. There is also an alternative universe, Arcturians. There's races from Andromeda, races from Anunnaki, right? Races from the aquatics, and then there's a couple other ones that's leaving my brain right now. But all of them donated their DNA to create these particular human forms. Okay, so we are not these bodies. These bodies are biosuits for us to fully merge ourselves into these realities. That's what this is. So the Anunnaki or galactic genetic engineers may have created the biosuit that we're occupying, but they did not create the infinite consciousness within that biosuit. Okay, so just so that you guys can get a difference there, because there are plenty of Anunnaki channelings out there saying that we are your creators, we are your gods, right? Now, I hear that in a very different way than maybe how I used to hear that, but I think a lot of people are still hearing it in that surface level, that they are literally, we are to look up to them because they are more than what we are in these lowly biosuits. And that's not at all the truth, because this awakening, this higher octave that we're stepping into, is awakening DNA that hasn't been awoke yet, ever. So we are quite literally mutating our own DNA by activating our multidimensional nature. We can download encodements, light codes that literally give us different DNA. This is happening right now. It's been happening, and it's happening more and more from what I've observed inside myself, but also other people that share this planet with us, you know. So yeah, darling, please, Felicia, please let us know. All right, so as a Baka, I witnessed humans, who a human is and why they came to life. Ooh, so within hours, she says, she can see this within the newborn. That's awesome. I want you to be, well, I'm done having kids. My kids are grown, are adults. So, but if I were, I would have another one. I would love to have you be my doula, because what a beautiful being to co-create the birthing experience with, that can see on that level the baby, the miracle that we're bringing into the world. Anyway, you guys, check out Felicia Mariel's. There's no, you don't say the S, Mariel. All right, then it says, peace is a really interesting consciousness because it requires us not to choose, but to unify with all there is. Bam, right there. Thank you, love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Polly says, I believe. And then Felicia says, my grandson says he's an architect of nature at 3 days old. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah, these kids coming in are amazing. And don't think that you guys aren't some of those amazing kids that come to this planet as well. You are, even if you had many other lifetimes as a, right. Here's the thing, our biosuits, because the collective was manipulated like this was, and veils were coming down really, really hard and heavy, and we're cut off from the spiritual realm, the Fey realm, and all that stuff, because that was happening, we were still incarnating, but only a tiny bit of our quantum was imbuing these biosuits. But now the veils are lifting at, exponentially lifting. There's so many people that are awake far beyond the galactic mind, far beyond 15, 16, 17th dimension, 24, 38 dimension. There's people that are woke far beyond these levels, which means even more of their quantum is present within their biosuit. So we're quite literally becoming divine beings. These bodies are able to be occupied by our full divinity. Okay, and I hate to use that word, but I don't know a better word to use to explain it. More of our quantum is coming to imbue this biosuit than ever before. Okay, which means the quality of the consciousness is, there's parts of us that have never had an incarnational experience in this realm, in this density before, that are coming and reintegrating. So it's quite literally like we are brand new children of the sun. We are children of the stars in a biosuit. And it's not going backwards, it's only going forward, it's only accelerating. We're getting more and more and more imbued with the truth of our light, infinite light. The sun is having these spasms. Our sun is having these spasms. That's why I post that suspicious observer channel all the time, because he's real-time tracking that stuff. Our sun is having these spasms. There are suns within our suns now, for those of you who like to journey when you meditate. There are suns within our suns now. There is a great alignment of the stellar networks preparing for a massive imbuement of infinity to wash through all those galactic highways of light. Those galactic highways of light are inside of us. They're between us. They're inside of us, like when we look inside and we see the cosmos, but it's also between us, and it's also between us and all the planetary bodies of the solar ring, all the other stars in the solar ring. This is why I talk about the Milky Way. When you're looking up at the night sky, you're literally looking at your history. You're looking at your soul's journey right there. Okay? Okay. Okay. So, thank you for that, Felicia. So she's talking about things being beyond skills and abilities. Right, I would call it capacities, because skills, if you have a skill, you had to get trained in order to develop your skill. You may have had a natural talent, and then you were trained, and now you have a skill, right? And abilities is kind of like something I would put that in the category of talent. You have an ability, comes easily, it's talent, and then as you cultivate it, it becomes better. A capacity, however, you cannot teach or train someone to have a capacity. Okay, you can't train them to have a capacity. You can't train someone to have a galactic mind, have access to their galactic mind, if they are closed off to it. It doesn't matter how much training you give them, they're not going to have the capacity until that is an activated living reality inside of them. Then they'll have the capacity. You see what I mean? This is why I describe my work as unwinding intuitive blind spots, because when we unwind intuitive blind spots, it activates that level of encodement. Boom, now they have the capacity. See what I mean? And that just so happens that capacity coming online also translates into having sharper skills and abilities to track and move energy and do stuff like that. Alrighty. So guys, thank you for being a part of this conversation. I hope that it was entertaining and mind-opening as well. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys having patience with me when I say these things that are kind of quirky and out of the box. But I'm here to do what I do, and I'm more than happy to support you guys the best way that I can. Let's see, if you guys are interested in diving into the kind of work that we do at the Light Body Academy, we have openings right now for our Dreamtime Healing Project. This is where we teach people Well, to not only you train you to remember your dreams and engage, but also how to track dreams and then have your own dreams tracked. And then eventually we unravel enough of those blind spots where you can actually step into the realm of dreaming your world into being. So if there's something you want to bring into your world, like a gift to share, or an avenue to share yourself, or to help humanity, you can quite literally go into dream time, pull that light code forward, and integrate it, unify within yourself, and boom, that starts to become part of your reality. So that's at lifebodyacademy.com if that's something that interests you. Love you guys. Mwah. I hope you guys all make it a great day. Bye-bye.